It goes all the way back.
I'm recording. Well, it's okay. We're going to do lesson 7 anyway. We are learning vocabulary here for lesson 7. So I'm going to make this big. If you double click it, you are in a PDF file. It says it's a Dafka file, but it's not. Okay. The first word is Adon. Didn't we do this vocabulary? I thought we did do this. Maybe it's the other class that did this one. Adon means Lord or Master. The plural is Adonim. I do not like that as a translation for some things. So let me tell you how we use the word Adon. Sometimes we will say like, Slicha Adoni, excuse me, sir. If I say Adoni, it means my Lord, but it means it in a more of a Lord of the Manor or, you know, my good sir. That's kind of how I think of it. So Adon can mean more like sir. Or if you were writing to Mr. So-and-so, you might say Adon so-and-so. So those are, it's a kind of an honorific, a word to use for those kinds of things. The plural is Adonim, but you are hopefully familiar with the word Adonai. Mm-hmm. And Adonai is what we use as God's nickname. And it means something like, in many books, you're going to see it, if you see Adonai, you're going to see it translated as Lord with a capital L, sometimes with a hyphenated O, that they take away the O and they make it hyphenated. But that's become a very problematic translation for some people. Me. It's problematic for me as a translation, because I don't think of God as Lord, as in like sir, or as Lord of the Manor. I don't think of God as, specifically a masculine entity. And as you know, when I think of Lord of the Manor, I don't ever think of a nice guy. It never feels like the Lord of the Manor was ever nice. I don't remember a lot about my history classes, but they were never nice to their subjects. And if we want to refer to God as Lord, I would rather do it. And of course, you know, we said that when I ask the kids, when I say I'd really like to change that translation. And in the Reform movement, the way they change it is every time it says Adonai, they say eternal, because they say that there is only one thing that can be considered eternal, and that's God. And so that works as a legitimate translation all the time. So eternal, maybe. But we tried to come up with a good translation. And someone said master, and that's a problematic word. Because in the Black Lives Matter world, when you say master, that's a master-slave situation. And we don't want to think of ourselves most of the time as God's slaves or servants. There are times when we do. The whole High Holy Days is filled with that stuff. But you can't sustain that forever and feel really good about God. You can only sustain it every once in a while. It's like the wait till your father gets home kind of father. It's not the come here and have milk and cookies kind of a dad. But so what do we say? So I told you that I quizzed a kid and I said, when I say Lord, what do you think of? And he said, Vader. And I said, yeah, there's your problem right there. That's why we don't want to say that. So I decided to say something like either eternal, like the Reform movement does, or almighty, because I don't think that that's a negative term in any circle that I'm aware of. So that's another one, although there are other words that have sometimes translated as almighty. I'm going to make these bigger so you can see them better.
I just had someone come to the door, so I missed part of the discussion, but is this Adon like Adon Olam? Is that
exactly? Oh, that's a good one. Adon Olam, which means the Almighty of the universe, or Lord of the universe, or Master of the universe. And it used to be that Master was a fine way to say that, or Lord. But I don't like those translations. So if you come up with a good one, Eternal of the universe, that would be fine. Or like I said, Almighty. But and it doesn't mean not ruler of or anything. It covers, but that's a good one. Adon Olam is a perfect one. All right, the next word is Ahava.
Quick question.
Yes, please.
The last letter in Adon.
Yes. Okay, so that doesn't look right, does it?
Have a longer.
Yeah, that looks like it's a mistake. Yeah, okay. That looks like a mistake. Sorry. Thank you for checking. It'll take me like 10 minutes to undo that, but I'm going to make a note to undo it. If I had to sit here and you had to watch me, it would not be fun. But that's a typo. It's supposed to be a final nun, and it should be below the line.
Right.
Chapter 7. Actually, I think One of the other problems is that I didn't always check the numbers. So I'm going to say Adon. Okay. Thank you. And by the way, so I put the plural on there also. Do we know why this vowel turns into this vowel? Why the first vowel under the aleph changes into this thing, this composite schwa?
Propretonic
reduction of the schwa.
Propretonic reduction of the kamatz, exactly. Propretonic reduction of the kamatz. You got it. So what happens is every time you have a kamatz at the beginning of the word, if you add something to the end of the word, it's going to turn into a moving schwa. This consonant will not take a moving schwa without a composite. You're getting there. Of all of the silly, ridiculous things you're going to learn from this class, that's going to be one that you're going to have. And almost no one in the world is going to know that. And you will. And it'll be consistent every single time. So that's a cool thing. All right, so we have Adon and Adonim, and that's the only change that it makes. So it shouldn't be a hard thing to do. It goes from what is supposed to be a final nun into a not final nun, which is good. Sorry about that mistake. Let's not look at it anymore. Let's shift to Ahava, which, by the way, isn't supposed to say lovey. It's supposed to say love. That's another one. We have 2 typos in there. I thought I saw something here. Ahava, whoops, sorry. I'm going to have to bring it down a little. Ahava means love. There's a 3-letter root here. It's a feminine noun. It ends in a. The 3-letter root is aleph, he, vet. Aleph, he, vet. And it's the noun form. Ahava is love. Have you ever seen which museum is that? The Modern Museum in Israel, in Jerusalem, where they have I'll show it to you. I'll show you a love thing. The 4 letters. It's a 4-letter word, ahava. Love is a 4-letter word in English too, you know that. So it's not so scary in Hebrew as it is in English when we say that. So the word or is from day 1 of creation. Vayhi or, and there was light. God said, let there be light, yehi or. Or means light. It is, and I said that in American way, oh, that's how I should say it. Which is more like breathing than it is like or, that sounds clunkier. It's a masculine singular noun. It doesn't have anything funky about that. And to make it plural, you just add im to it. So we have light or and orim. My son's middle name is Ori, which means my light. Aww. But you knew that. Yeah. You knew that. And then this one, just because you thought you could get more confused, you're never supposed to have 2 things that are similar together like this. So you have to know or and door. What? Yes, you do. And to make matters worse, or, light, the plural is orim, even though it's a masculine singular noun. And the plural of door, which sounds a lot like or, is dorot. Why did they do that? Why are they teaching them 2 on the same day? Because they're mean. It really is a mean thing to do. They try to get you not to do that. They try to not, so yeah. Anyway, or is light and dor is generation. There's a prayer, the dor vador, from generation to generation. I have made my family, I like to do magnets. So I take the business card size flashcard things that I do for you and I turn them into magnets. So when my kids were doing art in elementary school and you had these giant things, I don't have enough wall space to put all their pictures up. So I would take a picture of it and squish it down into a business card size. And then I had a whole gallery on my refrigerator. And now I have a non-magnetic refrigerator. But it was a very helpful thing. And for the teachers, we would give out magnets. And so I gave to the Jewish teachers one year as a holiday present, I gave them, Jewish educators give door-to-door service, which means generation to generation. Get it? Door-to-door. That's one of my favorites.
Great.
I did a few. I did one that was to fill in, that the Jewish educators used to fill in the blanks or something about to fill in the blanks. I don't know. All right, then we have the word, so it's a generation or generations. It's still masculine even if it goes to the ot ending for the plural. Then we have the word chag. Chag is a festival or a feast. Sometimes you'll see the word as part of the festival name. So I can say Pesach, or I can say Chag Pesach. The greeting at a festival is Chag Sameach, which is a happy festival. And sometimes if you say like Chag Chanukah, those are both chetz, Chag Chanukah, and you want to wish somebody a happy Chanukah, and you want to use the word Chag in the middle of that with the Chag Chanukah, you would say Chag Chanukah Sameach. Chanukah is feminine, it ends in A, but you're talking about a happy Chanukah festival, not happy Chanukah. So you'd use the masculine adjective. Anyway, Chag is festival, the plural is Chagim. I needed digation that Gimel, but somebody's got a question. So there's a question about do the words change? And the question would be, so you'll notice that there are sometimes words like, you're not going to see a word like kavod, which is our next word, which is glory. It doesn't usually have a plural form to it. But if you're going to add something, if you want to say that something is plural, then you're going to have to just add im or ot to the end, depending on the word. Every once in a while, you'll have a word that's not going to take a plural. It just never happens. Sometimes they're group nouns, things that you wouldn't normally talk about in the plural. And we'll have some of those words, but they don't come that often. Normally, you're going to have a plural form to it. I hope that answers it. If not, keep trying. See if I didn't understand it or not. So we have Chag, which is a festival, and then we have kavod, which is honor or glory. And I'm going to tell you, so in Yiddish, you'd say kavod, you'd give somebody kavod. And do I not like that word these days? I do not like the word COVID these days. I'm just not going to lie to you. That is not a good word. I don't like COVID-19 and I don't like COVID chai. I don't like any of them. But kavod means glory or honor. Strange, but true. I've tried to come up with some kind of a joke and it's just never funny. What, too soon? No, not funny at all. So kavod is glory or honor. And that's a word that you don't usually make plural. It's a kind of a independent noun. Then we have the word lev, which means heart. And I like that because it sounds like love, lev, and it means heart. Sometimes you're going to see the word levav instead as the base part of the word. They both mean heart, and they're used somewhat interchangeably. The plural is usually, see, here's another mistake. Levavot doesn't have a shva under there. What was I thinking when I did this one? I think I was thinking I wanted to get it done quickly and I ran out of time. Lev, levav, the plural is levavot. And that should have a shva under it, a moving shva. Levavot. But you can see that if you look in your book. But you can tell that I have to type out all these things. I'm not copying from the book. I'm typing it all over again, just for you, because I love you. Then we have an adjective. How do I know it's an adjective? Because I gave it to you in all four forms here, but it also means evil or bad. Ra, ra'a, ra'im, ra'ot. And that looks like there's a space between those two, but it shouldn't look like there's a space between them. Sometimes the letters are going to do that, and they're just funky. And I think that's the end of our vocabulary here. We're going to get that. So,
Rabbi, can I ask you a question?
Please.
To tag on the other question, so for ahava, you said it has a 3-letter root, but it has 4 letters in the original word. Is that because it would take on plural or gender or something?
No, I see what you're saying on that one. So love happens to be something that you can use as an action also. It's not just a noun. Like generation, you can't, even though there's a generate in English, it doesn't have anything to do with generation, like, you know, one generation after another, parents and grandparents and things. So the other words that we're using here, like generation and light, you do not use any of these also as verbs. But a word that has a verbal form and a noun form, then I want you to try to see if you can find the 3-letter roots to it. So in order to turn a 3-letter root, which you're going to learn in chapter 8, I can tell you that because I just did it in chapter 8. You're going to learn how to say loving as a verb. You're going to use those 3 root letters. But to turn this into a noun, love as a noun, they added a hey at the end. And it's one of the ways of being able to turn something that is a verb into a noun. Did that help? But most things you're not going to do that. A lot of things, though, I want you to look for the 3 root letters. And like when we had Melech and Malchut, Melech is king or ruler. A malchut is a kingdom, using the same 3 letters. But there's also a verb to rule or reign, and it uses the same 3 letters. And so sometimes I'll point out most of the time when they'll have you. So here's one. So kavod is a noun form. It's not kavada like ahava was. Kavod is a noun form, but you can use the 3 root letters kaf vet dalet to say to honor someone.
How would you know which of those were the 3 root letters out of the 4?
Because this is a vowel and not so if we were to take it away, we would have, and to some extent that ending, the hey doesn't have any consonant status at all anymore. It's also part of the vowel. So the only 3, and it's a really good question, and I'm giving you a secret way of knowing it. Watch for just the consonants, because like Adon has 3 letters. We don't have a verb that'll do that, but if I ask you what were the 3 root letters of Adon, it would be Aleph, Dalet, and Nun, and the rest of it are all vowels. So Or only has 2 letters. It's got a consonant and a consonant. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Chag, to feast on something, has a verbal form too, and it's weird because you usually put 2 gimels on the end. Don't ask me. You say lachgog means to celebrate something. I don't think that heart has a verb form. Although now you have to say I heart this. No, just I don't know what they do that. I don't know how they do that. That's a good question. There's a lot of Hebrew that I probably don't know. But see, okay, so now that we've asked that question, because your brain got bigger than the vocabulary, and I shouldn't have said anything, all you need to know are these words. You don't have to worry about turning ohev into a verb at all. You just have to know Adon, Ahava, Or, Dor, Chag, Kavod, Lev or Levav, and Ra. That's all you have to know. And you don't have to worry about did it turn into a verb or not turn into a verb. But let me just remind you that it's one of the coolest things that because there are vowel patterns that you'll know that it's a noun form and not a verb form, that even a word that has never ever been used as a noun, let's say, if you take a verb and you plop it into you take the vowels of a noun form and it's never been used like that, everybody who knows Hebrew will understand everything you're saying. You can make up words right and left. And it doesn't matter if you made them up. Everybody will know what you're saying. And that's a cool thing. So I wouldn't get stressed about them. I was trying to point out a core, and maybe it was too soon. Too soon? No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
Sure. And let me know if I step over something like that again. It's like maybe a bad idea. All right, so we've got the flashcards here, and this one we have flashcards in order. I think all of that is working. We're going to go to the chapter then. Please be there. Please be there. All right, here we go. So this chapter is supposed to be teaching us possessive endings for singular nouns too, because so far all we did was, if this is our big chart, all we did was this column. We did the my, your, masculine and feminine, and his and her, but those are all for singular things. So singular pronouns, it's just mine, and one person at a time can possess it, either a he or a she or a you, but you have to be only one person. Today, what we're learning is what happens if it's a group of people who are possessing a thing, like our or y'all's, and I say that by the way, or theirs. If it's a group of people that are owning it, then it's 5 other sounds that end the word. That's what they're trying to do. You already know all 10 of the pronouns, so that shouldn't be surprising to you that these forms exist. It shouldn't surprise you that our house exists too, not just mine. Plus, they're going to be fairly familiar to you. So we say, and this is not to confuse you, you're welcome to separate these words out, but the word we is anach nu. It ends with a nu. Every time you see something that ends with a nu, presume that it has something to do with us or our or we, something to do with that. That's a really good marker here. So the word for y'all, the you plural, masculine plural, is atem. So you'll notice that this is a ch instead, like this was a ch, this is a ch, but you end with chem instead of atem. So if you already remember that atem is y'all for masculine or mixed, then you can remember that I'm making it possessed, so the t is going to turn into a ch, and it does for all of the U forms, all 4 of these U forms. It's going to turn into a ch. It was ata and at and atem and aten, and now it's turning into cha and ech and chem and chen. As long as you can recognize that those are the endings for the possessive ones, that means that it belongs to you or you plural, y'alls. It's yours or y'alls. The third person is one step farther away from getting it, except in the plural it's even easier because the plural pronouns are hem and hen, so it's not going to be it's a, but it's am and an. So as long as you remember the masculine mixed and the feminine ending, then it's going to be not so hard to remember them. I want you to try to hold on to something. So we've got the O ending. What I hold on to is that it reminds me of who, the U and the O. The A ending, this is a pain in the neck, except that we know that it's feminine because it's A. And then we have to know that it's not just feminine, but it's possessed, and that we know because there's a dot in it. Are we seeing any of this?
Rabbi, is y'all's plural or possessive? I don't really know y'all's, and I don't.
I made it up. You want me to say it's use guys's? No.
Plural.
So good question. That's a really good question.
Okay.
No. So y'all is supposed to be the plural of you. Y'all is you plural. So if I'm talking to one person, I'm not supposed to use y'all. If I'm talking to more than one person, I'm supposed to use y'all. That's
Okay.
in most of the South, not all of the South, and then not in all cases. So it was not fair of me to use that. So if I just said that Beit Chem is your house, but it's masculine or mixed plural, that would have been easier, right?
Yeah.
Beit Chem is your house, but it's masculine. So in Pennsylvania, it's going to be Yin's house. It is. So depending on where your next move is, you may hear a different you plural. But Beit Chem just means that a group of you, whether it's, right now we only have gals on the screen. So, but this would be, if at least one guy were on this screen, we'd have to say Beit Chem, because that's the mixed version. But if it's only you, which are female, then we would say Beit Chen. And we would say that house belongs to you, plural, Beit Chen. And I'm going to say y'all's. Sorry. I'm trying. Beitam means that it's their house, but it's the them is the they that own it are either just guys or a mixture of guys and gals. So it's masculine there or mixed there. Beitam, their house. And Beitan means feminine there and only feminine there. It can't have no guys allowed. And so it's going to be the same thing with any other noun that we have. And it's going to be the exact same thing that we had for the previous chapter, but we only knew these 5. Now it's the same thing. We're going to go from a word, whatever the word is, like buy it. We're going to have what they call the base form, which I'm calling the possessed form. And then you're going to add those suffixes. And the suffixes are, I'm sorry to tell you, possessive pronominal suffixes, which just means that they are pronoun, they represent pronouns. The pronouns are I and you and he. In this case, because it's possessive, it's mine and yours and his and hers. And those are the possessive pronouns. So all this is doing is saying that it belongs to, and it's telling us something about who it belongs to. Make sense? All right. And then we're going to see.
So Rabbi,
Yes, please.
the difference between this is my house and the house is mine, are they said the same way in Hebrew?
So as of right now, so in I'm going to answer that in a few ways. Biblical Hebrew, this is the only way to say it.
Okay. All right.
Okay. This is the only way to say it. Because you need a separate word for mine, and there is no separate word for mine.
Word. Okay.
In biblical Hebrew, there's no separate word for mine, and in classical Hebrew, there's sometimes no separate word for mine. In modern Hebrew, there is a separate word for mine, and the separate word is of. So if you've ever heard the word shel, then you take shel and you add sheli, shelcha, shalach, shalo, and then it means mine. Essentially, you would translate it to that. But right now, this is the only way that you can translate it. And I want to point out that it's the same kind of thing that you do. It's the same kind of possession no matter what language you're saying. So in Spanish, you would say like mío, right? Or mia casa, right? My house, the same kind of thing. So you'd have the my before the noun. In Hebrew, and like in English, you say my house. In Hebrew, the only way to do this for now is to take the noun itself and plop that thing at the end of it, glue that to the end of it, and that's going to say my house. It's the only way, but you're going to understand it the same way. Okay? But it's the same thing. You're going to be saying my and your and his and her, and our and y'all's, or yours and theirs and theirs. Okay? Same exact pattern that we do, which is part of why the pages that that Ben found kind of drove me crazy, because it's for people who think in English. So it drives me crazy that sometimes they have charts where the mine is on this side, but Hebrew goes this way. It doesn't go this way. So I like it when the charts go in the right direction for Hebrew. And then we move on a little bit. What we're seeing here then is taking other nouns and using those endings, and now we've got all of the endings. So if you take the word for word, which is davar, and then you add something to the end, so the davar turns into dvar, which is a propretonic reduction of the kamatz, as you all know. And you want to say my davar, you say divari. You're going to add the e ending, because the e ending means mine. And if you want to say it belongs to you, to a guy, you say divarcha, because the cha ending means you're to a guy. You want to say you're to a female, you say divarech. Devaro for his word. Devarah. Thank you. Devarenu. Devarenu. Enu ending is power, right? Devarchem. Belongs to you, masculine or mixed plural. Devarchen is yours, your group. Devaram. Devaran. And those are going to be consistent endings 98% of the time. We already saw one or two words that it's not, and they're really common words. But anyway, door is really easy because we're not even doing a propretonic reduction of the kamas. There's no vowel change at all when we add those endings. So dori means my generation. Ori would mean my light. I'm frozen. I don't know why I'm frozen, but you can hear me, right? Dorcha is your generation. Orcha is your light. Dorech is your generation to a female. And dor and orech would be your generation for a female. Doro, and I want you to say o and not o. Doro, not doro. Doro. Anyway, his generation, and dorah with a at the end is her generation. Our generation is dorenu. This is the new thing that we didn't know last time. We didn't know how to say our. We didn't know how to say that it belongs to all of you. Dorchem. We didn't know how to say that it belongs to all of you women. Dorchen. It's your generation. Make of it what you want. We didn't know how to say, well, in their generation, bedoram, in their generation, or if it was only the generation of our grandmothers, then we say, well, bedoran, in their generation. I'm going to, I don't know if this will help. I have no idea why it stopped. I'm not stopped. I'm really afraid now that if I tell it to, whatever, take away stop my video, you'll get to see me smiling at least and not just looking up. But I don't know if I bring it back again. Blink. Yep, that's what I was afraid of. It keeps doing this. It keeps blanking out, so I'll leave you blank. I'll let you see this. See that for now. Actually, I can fix it. If you need, when I have to talk to you and you have to watch my mouth moving again, I can fix it. And then we go to the other side. Right now, you're still mostly looking at the screen. We saw that if you have a word that ends in a, that the hey turns into a tav for the base form. The rest of it essentially will stay the same. You might see propretonic, but in this case, it's essentially staying the same. So my love is ahavati. And if I were talking to a guy, I would say, your love is ahavatcha. If I were talking to a female, I would say ahavatech, your love. If I were talking about a guy, I would say ahavato. If I were talking about a woman's love, I would say her love is ahavata. And now we get to the new ones, which is, although ahava is a new noun, so you haven't ever seen these before until now, but our love is ahavatenu. I bet we could write some songs about that. Ahavatenu, our love. Ahavatchem means your love. If you're talking to a group of guys or a mixed group, your love, ahavatchem. Or if we were only talking to my group right here, which you can't see me gesturing because all you see is my smiley face. Ahavatchen is your love, feminine. Ahavatam is their love, whether it's a group of guys or a group of guys and gals. And then ahavatan is their love. And after I had told you that that's kind of fairly regular, we know that avi is weird. We know that av goes to a strange thing. It goes to avi. And avicha, not so strange, just adding those endings. It's the usual-ish endings. Avich, not totally normal. Aviv, totally weird. Aviv is really weird. And aviha is really weird. Because look, we've got a ha ending. Why are we adding a... Why are we having a vowel under that last consonant? That's crazy. But this isn't much crazier than it's a fairly normal ending thing. So if we normally add a nu to the end, then we're adding a nu to the end. We have the core word, which is avi. That's our base form. And we say avinu. Like avinu malkeinu. Which, if we were sitting in the sanctuary, we would not be allowed to sing out loud because I'm not allowing singing in the sanctuary. So... Avichem is y'all's father. I'm sorry, your father, if you're a group of guys, and or like the brothers, if you only have brothers and you say, well, Avichem, your father, or if you were boys and girls and you wanted to say your father, and there's more than a few of you, you'd say Avichem. If you were only girls, I would say your father, and I'd say Avichen. And their father is Avihem, which is not totally normal. Okay, something just went back again. Let's see if this works. Nope. We saw endings and an endings, and now they've got hem and hen, which sound more normal than and an do to us because the pronoun would have been hem and hen. But that's the way you do it for father. So since it's not a conversational class, you don't have to remember these to create these sentences. Since it's a prayer book class, all you have to do is find the word in the prayer book and figure out how to translate it. And you would know that one. So we have, what would be a good one to do? Wait, I think that there's one more, hold on, there's one more page. I have to go this way first. Adjectives and nouns with endings. You've already learned that nouns with hey, the attached are definite nouns, like hey at the beginning, ha at the beginning of a word is the. Nouns with possessive endings are also definite. This is going to be important once we get to some verbs, because you have to be able to say, you'll know when we get there. I don't think we have verbs yet, do we? We didn't do verbs yet. Good. Not until chapter 8. I know chapter 8 now. We will learn verbs in chapter 8. So it's going to be important to know if something is definite. And you'll see a little bit why. So bat is a daughter. It's not definite. Habat means the daughter, and they're saying it's being specific. Although we may not, hopefully in context you will know who it is. If you have 3 daughters, and if we wanted to say which one was, which is the daughter that finished reading the book, and you say the daughter finished the book and is reading, if you wanted to say, I don't know, there's a sentence there. Ready? If I want to say, it's not always specific. That's what I'm trying to tell you. When we say definite, it's not about being specific. Definite is the grammatical expression. It's not about being specific. It turns out that most of the time in conversation, if you're saying the daughter, you may have a clue which one we're talking about. But I'm just going to let you know, especially in Torah, you may never know. It's not that it's about something specific, it's that it's about something definite. And by definite, It mostly means having a ha on it, but I'll show you other things. So ha, but if I say BT, then it is definite. I'm talking about my daughter. What if I have 4 daughters? It doesn't matter. Grammatically, it's considered definite. You can think of a little bit about trying to be specific, but that's kind of deceiving because you may not be specific. If I say my daughter just won the race, it is definite because it's got my on it, not because I'm telling you which of my daughters won the race. And I'm sorry to tell you that because words like definite and specific sound more helpful than what this is. But the point is that if it's definite, one of the things you need to know is that it will use ha on the adjective. So far there are 3 ways to make something definite. One is if there's a ha on the noun. One is if it's a proper noun, like a name. And the third is if it's possessed. If it's a possessed noun, then it's definite, even if we're not sure which one it is. So I can say for definite things, these are all definite phrases. Habat hatova. I know it's definite because I'm seeing a definite article on ha, even, the good daughter. But if I say my good daughter, I say BT, which means my daughter, but I have to say ha tova. I have to put a ha on it because my is what makes this definite. Ha is what makes this noun definite. My is what makes this noun definite. Does that help? Yeah, sorry. Thank you. The sinister laugh. Ha makes it definite and my makes it definite. Bitenu, the hour makes it definite, same thing. But Sarah hatova makes it definite. The adjective is going to have a definite. This is why it matters, because the adjective is going to have a ha on it. Even though I tell you that the ha is a ha-ha principle, none of these have ha's on the first word, but they're all definite, so this one has to have a ha. Or to show it to you in a way that's going to matter for prayer book Hebrew, if you see a ha on the adjective, know that the subject is definitely definite. And if you can't figure out why, then it's your job to try to figure out why. If it says bitenu hatova, and you say, wait a second, that adjective is definite. What's so definite about our daughter? And you'll say, oh, well, it's because it's an hour. That's why I needed the ha. Wait, Sarah hatova, which Sarah? There's 4 Sarahs in my class. It's not about being specific. It's about the fact that it's a name. You have to put the ha on the end. Oh, it's the good Sarah. They're all good. It doesn't matter. You still need a ha on there. If the adjective doesn't have a ha, and you see that the first word in this grouping kind of thing is definite, if it doesn't have a ha, then you're talking about a full sentence, and they're not in the same phrase. So these are in a phrases: the good daughter, my good daughter, our good daughter, good Sarah. This one, that one doesn't count. This one, if you say habat tova and it doesn't have a ha on it, then the way you translate that is the daughter is good. Do we see why? We talked about this a little bit before. Do you see why it's a habat tova means the daughter is good? But if I say habat hatova, it's the good daughter. Look at those two and see if you can see why one of them has an is in the middle.
Doesn't the lack of ha on the second word make it an is?
Exactly. Because as soon as I have the ha-ha, then it means they have to be in the same phrase. And as soon as I don't have a ha-ha, that means I have to take it out of the same phrase. If the first word is definite, and all of these, the first word are definite. If the first word is definite, and then I have an adjective following, then it's not in the same phrase. I take it out of the phrase. It's not the good daughter, it's the daughter good. So how would I translate that? The daughter good? I would put an is in there. There is no is in Hebrew. So I would put the is to translate it better, okay? BT tova. BT means my daughter. And then I see good. But because it's not ha tova, then it's not my good daughter. They're not in the same phrase. So then I have to say my daughter, good. And the best way to translate that in English is to say is good. You see what we did? You see how this is working? So what happens if we actually have examples of that? When we can go the horrible way and go this way, but what if we say, that's not phrases. Do we have phrases here? Yeah, we do. Now my audio is terrible. Let's do terrible sentences. the big ones. Ready? Avraham Avi V'libo Ra. Avraham Avi V'libo Ra. So Avraham Avi means
Our father, my father.
Abraham, my father. Okay? Abraham, my father. V'libo Ra. V means and. Libo means
Heart,
his heart. Ra. Evil. He's bad. So Avraham Avi, Avraham, I would translate it as Avraham is my father. Avraham, my father, and his heart, evil. So I would put that into English by saying Avraham is my father and his heart is evil. My dad's name was Avraham. You think they're talking about my dad? I don't.
Yes.
That's what I thought you'd say. Sarah.
fast, Sheila.
That was really fast. Sarah imi v'libah tov. Sarah imi, Sarah, my mother, and her heart good. So what's a better way of translating that is Sarah is my mother and her heart is good.
Is good.
Okay? Ani bitam, I am their daughter. I don't know how else to say that. I am. No, ani bitam, their daughter. That's how I was supposed to say it. I, their daughter, which means I'm going to put an am in there. Ani tova v'ra'a. What? I am good, and I good and evil. I am good and evil. That's me. Oh, you can't even see me doing I have a little curl. I am. All right. So we have dorchem gadol. Dorchem. It's a new vocabulary word. Anybody remember what door is? I give door-to-door service. Generation. Dorchem means the generation belongs to you, all of you, masculine, mixed, all of you. Gadol, your generation, big or great. So is it your generation is masculine singular noun. So your generation, I would say your generation is great, right? And now it says, sorry?
If there were Haggadol, it would be your great generation.
Right. It would be something like Dorchem would be your great generation, right? Belonging to all of you.
Haggadol.
Right. Your big great generation. Your big generation or your great generation. And they would be in the same phrase. And then it says Uchavodo Rav, and that says, and we forgot about it. And its glory is abundant. I keep forgetting about abundant. I don't think of it as abundant. Its glory, when we say kvodo, it means either his, but there is no him in here. It's an it. It's the generation, right? The generation we're talking about. And its glory is abundant. V'hachagim kedoshim. And the holidays, it's got a ha on it, so this one's easier. And the holidays are holy. Felt like a non sequitur to me, that holidays. What the heck? But okay, there it is. Okay, here's a fun one. I have to sit and think about this one. Avihem hu Adonam v'chasdo rav. Avihem, anybody? Parts of it? Something? What's Avihem?
Their daughters.
Their Av. What's father? Right, Av is father. Their Av. Avihem is their father, who he is. Adonam.
Their master.
Their master, their Lord, their whatever, almighty, their whatever that word is, their Lord, their master. V'chasdo Rav.
Kindness.
And his loving
Abundant.
kindness
Loving kindness is abundant.
is
His loving kindness is abundant. And his loving kindness, we're still talking about a father. His loving kindness is abundant.
okay.
Excuse me, I gotta go. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. It was good to see you.
Good to see you too. Take care.
It's time. It's time anyway.
Good luck, Kathy.
Bye-bye. Have a good night. Talk to you soon.
So you see what that is? Avihem, we're talking about one person. Their father is Avihem, who Adonam is their master. V'chasto rav is their lord or their master, and his loving kindness is abundant.
So the difference between abundant Rav and evil Ra
Oh, yeah. So Rav, right. Rav
is abundant.
is abundant, and Ra with an I-N at the end is evil. That's a very good question. You don't want to mix those up.
No.
All right. So where were we? We did that one. Do we want to try to keep going, or are you good?
Keep going.
All right. Let's.
I have to go.
Yeah, it was good to see you. Tell Eli I'll check his texts in a second.
Okay.
He just texted me in the middle of this.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So we just did 3. We're on 4. Ha'orim rabim, which means
The light.
the lights, and rabim is abundant, right? I know we have to say that. So, but it doesn't say ha'orim harabim. It says ha'orim rabim. The lights are abundant. V'hechag gadol. That's not a ha, but that is a ha. V'hechag. That's what we have to say. And the holiday is gadol, is big or great. And it doesn't say hagadol. And the holiday is big or great. Ushmo Chanukah. And its name.
And it's called.
And its name is Chanukah. Right? Its name, Chanukah. So the lights are abundant and the festival is great. And its name, we're talking back about the festival now, is Chanukah.
I like the way they put the quotation mark.
Yeah, Chanukah. It calls it
Not a
Chanukah.
vocabulary word.
That's right. Its name is, well, you would have to do that in English too. And its name is, quote, Chanukah, close quote. And its name is Chanukah. Anyway, you can't see me. I'm doing my quote marks, my air quotes. I could let you see me. Hold on. There's another way to do this. Habanim v'habanot. If I can find my video.
The sons and daughters.
All right. So it's, right. Habanim v'habanot, the sons and the daughters, bruchim hayom.
Bless
Are
the day.
blessed today.
Are blessed today. I would say are blessed today. Are blessed today. You get it? Because they are, goes on one side, are blessed today. Got it? Tricky. I don't know if they're intentionally trying to make it tricky, but habanim v'habanot bruchim, the sons and the daughters are blessed hayom, today. Ahavatech hi ori. This is beautiful. This is the song we were going to write. Ahavatech hi ori. So ahava is love. Ahavatech is your love to a female. Hi ori, it, and it's referring back to love, not to the female. It, ori, is my light. Your love is my light. Ma tov libech. How good is your heart? Oh.
Okay, is there really such a day as Tu
B'Av.
B'Av?
Oh yeah. No. 2 different things. So Tu B'Av is a holiday, and it is ending at sundown today, and it's a really important holiday depending on how single you are. How many of us are single and we need this holiday?
A musical thing yesterday with couples singing love songs to each other.
It's a Jewish love day. It's a little bit Sadie Hawkins.
I never heard of it.
I know. And let me tell you something else. So I can, hold on. Well, no, it's okay. I'm not going to stop the share. Oh, it's okay. Tu B'Av means, I'm going to write. Hold on. I'm writing on here. It's this. It's, oh, come on. Please let me write. It's not letting me write. There's something so screwy here. Tu B'Av is Tet Vav. Tet Vav is the number. Tet Vav is 9 and 6. It's the 15th of the month of Av. There was also a full moon. The 15th of the month of Av is a holiday that, according to the Talmud, was just as joyous was at the top of the joyous holidays, just as joyous as, guess which is the other holiday that's tied for Tu B'Av in the Talmud as the most joyous holiday?
Oh, as the most joyous?
Two holidays are tied according to the Talmud. What?
Sukkot,
Nice guess, but wrong.
Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur was the most joyous holiday, and Tu B'Av was the second most joyous holiday, and that's because what? Joyous? What? And that's
No wonder
because
we're confused.
we're confused. That's because, and you wonder why you never heard of it, because we don't think of Yom Kippur as a joyous holiday. It is a very somber, serious holiday. But Tu B'Av, the 15th of the month of Av, was a holiday when the maidens, which means the unmarried women, would frolic in white, simple white frocks. They wouldn't get fancy schmancy dressed. They wouldn't wear their fancy jewelry because they were supposed to be trying to attract a guy, and they wanted him to like her for who she was and not how much jewelry she had. And so they would get dressed up in their white frocks and they would frolic in the field, and the men were supposed to come to the field and the women could choose the guys, and the guys got to accept or not accept. And that happened on Tu B'Av and on Yom Kippur.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh. There was something like, I kept getting these emails for a 500,000 prayer thing today, that they were 500,000 strong in the world, and they will pray for your shidduch, for your match, to find your beshert today. We missed it, didn't we, lady? Sorry about that. We missed it. I know. I thought about it a couple times, but I decided against it. It was too scary.
Don't think.
It was just too scary to imagine finding a shidduch today. I don't think I could frolic, and I'm not ready for that. But anyway, it's the full moon of the month of Av, and this was an important holiday on the Jewish calendar for single folks, mostly single women. But yeah, we never heard of that. I heard about it starting when I was 15. We learned about it at this summer camp. But anyway, all right, so we can keep going a little bit if you want. I'm happy to, even if I can't write or anything, which kind of is sad to me. Where were we? We were talking about, but I like when the number 2 turns into a number 15. All right, so number 6, Malkenu Ra. Malkenu.
Our king
Our king
is evil.
is evil. Umalchuto Ra'ah, and his kingdom is evil. Artsenu Ra'ah, our land is evil. Ve'amenu Ra, and our nation is evil. V'dorenu Ra, and our generation is evil. Ve'olamenu Ra, and our world is evil. V'hayom Yom Tov, and today is a good day. or holiday. Hayom hu ha-Shabbat, today is Shabbat. So even if we live in a horrible place with a horrible king and a horrible nation in a horrible world, you still have a wonderful day. You have Shabbat. That's helpful. If they would leave us alone on that day, that would be nice. Divarchem ra udivarenu emet. Divarchem means your word or your thing is evil, and our word is truth. This is a whole long one. It looks like a story to me. Yom echad, one day, benenu tov, our son is good. V'yamim rabim, and many days or abundant days, hurrah, he is evil. Yom echad bitenu ra'ah, one day, our daughter is evil. V'yamim rabim, and abundant days, hi tova, she's good. Bitenu, hi orenu, our daughter, she is our light.
So is that
It's a story.
just one day they're evil, but most days they're good?
Lots of days, yep. But abundant days, they're bad. So in the first one, it says, Yom echad, one day, Binenu tov, our son is good. V'yamim rabim, and abundant days, which I would say are many days. Hurrah, he's evil. Yom echad, one day, bitenu ra'ah, our daughter is evil. V'yamim rabim, and abundant days, many days, hi tova, she's good. Bitenu hi orenu, our daughter, she is our light. What about your son? Like, what, does he chop liver? Just because he's rotten, that doesn't mean, like, see, he's not your light. So he's still, he's what we call a bandit. He's our bandit. That's a Yiddish word. It's a little monster. So this is something that they think that you should be able to know. Echad, which is the number one, Eloheinu. So Elohim is God. If I take Elohim and I take off the im ending, which you have not learned how to do yet, but you know what a new ending is. But Eloheinu means our God. Echad Eloheinu means our God is one. Gadol Adonenu means our Adon is great. Kadosh Shemo, his name is holy, or holy is his name. You see it? Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. It's part of the Torah service. How about Shema? That means listen. It's a command form. Kolenu. Kol is a voice. Listen to our voice. Listen, our voice. Aseh, do. It's a command form. Do. Lema'an, for the sake of Rachamecha. Rachamim is mercies. Your mercies. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. Shema Kolenu, listen to our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. Make or do for the sake of your mercies, your great mercies. This is supposed to be our vocabulary list. I get it. Your abundant mercies. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. Aseh, make or do. That's the make or do. Lema'an, for the sake of. Shemecha, your name. Hagadol, your great name. It's coming up in the High Holy Days. By the way, so speaking of High Holy Days, and that's the end of this chapter, so I'm going to come out of this, and I think you're still going to get this. Maybe we can get to it this way. Let me see. Holiday. Is it a holiday resource? High Holy Days. Nope. Oh, good. That's not what I wanted. All right. Let me show it to you. I don't know if this will take me to, maybe it's here. Let me try one other thing. There may be a link to it from here. Yeah. So if you go to the Learn How to Read the Hebrew Alphabet, by the way, I added some flashcards here that I was using with we were using with the kids, the bar bat mitzvah, the third graders to the seventh graders. If you click here, you can practice letters and vowels on the top and syllables and words on the bottom. So if you ever wanted to do that, that's there. But this is a pretty cool thing. I think I have to add translations, but other than that, Yom Kippur has a prayer that's an alphabetic acrostic. This is the prayer. Ashamnu Bagadnu. These are all a listing of the sins. And they go alphabetically. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mem. I think it leaves out a letter. Samech, Ayin, Pei, Tzadi, Kuf, Resh, Shin. No, it just keeps repeating the Te, Tav, Tav, Tav at the end. So I thought that a good way to learn, anyone who doesn't know how to read yet, doesn't know how to read Hebrew, or if they want to practice on something simple, you can go to this page. If you click on this, anywhere in this, even though it doesn't turn into a finger, if you click on it, it will sing the whole song. Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu, Dofi. If you click on these lines, here's a word, Ashamnu, it's going to do the first line. Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu, Dofi. So it's going to do Ashamnu. And how do you do Ashamnu? It's made up of an aleph. You click on the aleph, it gets you to an aleph practice page. It's got, there's your line. You can click on this and you'll hear your e. Every one you click on, it'll read the one you just clicked. And so we go to that and then you go backwards to this. So if you need to know Ashamnu, then it teaches you the letters of Ashamnu, it teaches you the letters of Bagadnu, teaches you the letters of Gazalnu, it teaches you the letters of Dibarnu Dofi. It does that for everything. And then you go back to either the home page, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5, or the extra letters, which are, these are the letters that are not in not in there at all. There's no chaf, there's no sin, there's no final chaf, there's no final mem, there's no final nun, and there's no final tzadi. So if you need to learn those, you go back to the Vidui homepage and you listen to the whole song again. But I don't have translations. I think I have to add that. And then the Aleph Bet charts are here. So there's the vowel aerobics for practicing the vowels. And in case you ever need anybody, you wanted to share with somebody that needs some Aleph Bet practice, it's a kind of a fun way to do it as we're approaching the High Holy Days. I wanted to share that with you. And I'm going to stop.